Bylaw Study Committee to order. Since all committee members are here in person, I don't need to take a roll call. Currently have no Zoom attendees. We will proceed with our usual agenda, however. First item being public comment. If we, at this late date in the process, if we still have any public comments, we'll listen to them, but apparently no member of the public is here in the room and not on Zoom, so we will proceed. Updated bylaw revisions. Article 4, probably the most substance that we have here. I think I circulated that yesterday.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
So we got no further feedback from Evan on that. So either Evan hasn't had time to review it or he's okay with it. I did incorporate a couple of comments from the previous meeting. The slightly more detailed language about GASB. And everything else is sent out. On section 9, question of which way we would prefer to word that. Either the two ways that are presented here or some further alternative.
Yeah, I thought about sending out another alternative, but I didn't want to do too much outside the meeting. So just for all options' sake, kind of a combination of the two that we've got. I was thinking something along the lines of the town administrator or any other town officer, include or board if we thought that was important, shall not dispose of or sell any obsolete, surplus, or unused property having a value in excess of $25,000, number of parentheses, without prior authorization by a vote of the town. And main thought process there is I didn't think we needed the clause in the first option, you know, that to formally kind of designate or declare something as obsolete, surplus, unused, etc. And I thought this kind of brought it all together. The two, you know, it implies that the town administrator, if we want any other town officer, could dispose of or sell anything less than 25,000, but all at the same time saying anything over 25,000 needs authorization from the vote of the town.
Taking into account the charter provision for allowing it, I think the alternate wording here is probably sufficient. Because the other part has already been handled by the charter. We're just saying, in addition to what's in the charter.
Right. So basically here we're just adding a qualification to what the charter says, and that is that in excess of 25,000 is a town meeting authorization.
The only edit I'd have to that one would be we wanted to spell out $25,000 and put the number in parentheses.
Which that is more often than not, that's how dollar amounts are expressed. Not always.
That was maybe shall be disposed of and reference the charter section there. Those shall be disposed of as in charter article, whatever section other.
Yeah, supplies, material, equipment have been declared surplus under charter section. And then if we want to change the dollar amount, we can do it at town meeting. We don't have to go to.
Yeah. It's section 14K.
Yeah.
Supplies, material, and equipment which have been declared surplus by, and see how best to reference that.
And these shall be disposed of pursuant to charter section 4-2K.
That was that look. Supplies, material, and equipment which have been declared surplus by any town agency and have a value in excess of $25,000 spelled out. Parentheses numerically shall be disposed of pursuant to section 4-2K of the town charter only after authorization by vote of the town. Like it. So if we're good with that, I'll delete the other.
So throwing in the town agency or whatever kind of almost puts it at odds with this section K, which is powers and duties for the town administrator.
But the section K says all supplies, material, and equipment which have been declared surplus by any town agency. So that very first sentence comes directly out of the charter.
Yeah.
The first line of the green.
Yeah, so then we don't need to put it in there. All we have to do is put it, all we have to do is put a dollar amount in here.
Yeah.
But we're just
Well,
talking about what we're talking about.
Saying pursuant to section 4-2K, the charter is redundant in the sense that this comes from the charter in the first
Right.
place. But sometimes it's a handy reference to refer back to the charter without we're not duplicating the language of the charter, but we are referring to the section of the charter under which surplus supplies and equipment are disposed of.
In theory here, the only person that can get rid of it besides the school committee for school committee stuff is the town administrator. So the town administrator shall not dispose of anything in excess of $25,000.
The town administrator is still responsible for disposing of them. It's just that authorization of town meeting is required for the high dollar amount.
Right.
And this, but this just adds a condition that says, yeah, the charter says the town administrator disposes of it. We're just adding a bylaw.
Yeah.
In the bylaw, we're saying town meeting authorization is required for the high dollar.
Over 25,000.
Unfortunately, for my job of editing, this has not yet been thrown into the report document or the bylaw document. So I don't have to make these changes in two places. So once we're done with this, we'll drop it in.
Should we change the title of the section to sale of surplus supplies, material, and equipment so that it matches?
It stinks that section, yeah, probably. And then something to the effect that the town administrator shall not dispose of any of, and then whatever you want to put the list of stuff to be. Of anything having value in excess of $25,000 without prior approval by, or without prior authorization by town meeting.
Which is basically the same wording as
Yeah.
there, just inverts it. So I don't.
Yeah, I mean,
You have property in green instead of the red there.
And we want to say, disposal or sale.
Yeah, sale and disposal
Yeah.
of, whatever it says.
The charter language is disposal.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah, so I put, yeah, so I put it as disposal of.
We'll keep the word of.
yeah.
Ah, all right. Just to make it a little bit clearer.
So. Oh, yeah, some of it is missing, okay. Yeah, you could take out that only after authorization by vote of the town. Why? Right?
That's the whole point of the section.
Yeah. Yeah, we want the town meeting to authorize 25.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I was looking at the wrong thing.
All right. Does that look good?
Yes.
The only other thing I had in Article 4 was our question about, in section 10, about the purchasing manual. That's something that we want to require be.
So. Evan didn't come back and say anything about it.
Yeah, Evan didn't say anything one way or the other.
Yeah,
My issue is the question of, for most elected or appointed officers and committee members, they're not involved in purchasing, so they don't necessarily need to know this.
But anybody that has a budget should be aware of this.
Yes, they should be aware of it, whether it's part of the bylaw or not. And that's the question. We could leave it in and leave it up for discussion, subsequent discussion. We'll be discussing all these things at the finance committee hearings next week.
So I guess from my experience doing a gazillion things, one of the things that I had mentioned or brought up when I was on the finance committee the first time when I left off was perhaps we should have some sort of class for the incoming group every year where they got stuff to really familiarize everybody with who's what and everything like that. And to have, that be a time when you went over the bylaws or the conflict of interest stuff, if you wanted to do any training like that. But to say, okay, here's the rules for purchasing. They're kept here. That, because you get people come, yeah, I want to be a multiple member board. I know it's all blah 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 blah. But then when they come, there's a learning curve for them that I kind of feel like would be nice to have somebody sit down and go through stuff with them.
Which boards actually have budgets? So finance committee, you have a small budget.
A lot of them do. Now the finance committee, tons of them.
They obviously have a budget. Select board is involved in purchasing decisions.
The school committee has purview over a budget, but they don't do any of the actual purchasing.
For the most part, it's the it's arguably it's worthwhile for board and committee members who may be involved, and they're for the most part, boards and committees are not directly involved in purchasing. That's more of a day-to-day operations thing. But for them to be aware of purchasing requirements is kind of useful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so might be, like, okay, so the finance committee has a small budget, the selectmen have a small budget. The conservation commission has a budget. The planning board has a budget. The board of health has a budget. Virtually everybody has a budget. There's a lot of them that don't have support staff
Yeah, but no,
that would be more aware of this stuff.
Yeah,
I guess there's probably a better way of saying
yeah,
it.
they don't generally make purchasing decisions on their own, though. The purchasing always runs through the administrative agent or portion of the town. Through the procurement officer. And so I don't know how many boards and committees, actually, they may ask for things to be purchased, they may recommend, but they're not the ones involved in the purchasing, the details, the decisions. And pretty much everything has to go to the town administrator, or the school superintendent's office.
Well, what's in the purchasing manual?
Well, I had not ever heard of where our rules were until we had the discussion about this and heard the phrase purchasing manual some point in time over the last week and a half. And I have never heard anybody say boo about any purchasing agent for the town or anything in the years that I've been involved with this, and that's my first involvement with the Board of Health, when we would have been making those things is in the early 1980s. There were always rules about, oh, if you have to go out and buy something over X amount of dollars, you've got to get 3 telephone bids to stay in compliance with the purchasing stuff in state law. If you go over another dollar threshold, you've got to get written bids. The whole purchase order concept, but it's like you kind of have to go like, hey, well, okay, Mary, what do I got to do if we're going to do this? Kind of dealio. So that this thing and maybe it's out there on the mainframe for everybody that has access or whatever you want to call it. But boards that are offsite, like you have like the South Grafton Community House. I don't know if there's a board that oversees that. The Farnhamsville Firehouse, they got a small budget. I talked to those guys in preparation for their budgets. They didn't have the slightest idea how to buy anything, and some of the people down there were just buying stuff themselves and never getting reimbursed for it, or buying it, with their budget kind of stuff. So maybe what I'm more talking about is what's out there for the unsupported boards or committees, in the context of having an agent or that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think there's a need here that you've identified. There's a need for folks who want to know, or folks who might be involved in either making some purchasing decisions or recommendations or whatnot. There's a need for some folks, at least, to know how the town goes about procuring things. I think the only question in my mind would be whether the need rises to the level of needing to be
in here,
included in the charter like that, or the bylaws like this.
If Greg's interest is piqued, what's in it anyways?
Is there even such a thing?
Well, Evan is the one that used the phrase.
Okay, that was gonna be one of my questions, is this even the correct way to refer to it? But
Well, and that's what I was kind of hoping to prompt some dialogue with them through, kind of sending this out. Why do we have a bylaw to give the bylaws to anybody? Or the conflict of interest laws? Those are things that you have to do. So it's like, okay, this is a fairly important thing that should be out there for everybody, but I don't, I was kind of hoping to spark some.
Yeah, I can't find any reference to it on the town website,
Yeah.
assuming it actually exists.
Yeah, that's to the extent that it exists or something approximating it exists, it's likely to be more internal to the staff organization.
Yeah,
I don't know if we could whip together a quick bullet, but this is something we want to take out of here, but include in our report as a recommendation for further review, or?
well, I was really hoping that he would say something about it.
Yeah, I would have liked to get something from Evan about it. One way we could leave this for tonight is we could leave it in for the moment and subject to concurrence or, you know, argument from Evan. Like, I promised Evan and Lee might have the, you know, we'd be giving them warrant articles tomorrow.
Yeah.
And if the committee is agreeable to this approach, we can point this out and ask Evan specifically whether he thinks this is appropriate, and if he thinks it's not, we will simply take it out.
That's just the right name for it. But the thing is, if you put it in and we offer a substitute motion at the town meeting or it gets changed by somebody, then it's gone.
Yeah, we can do that.
And the whole concept of, well, it was in there, you don't have to vote it up or down, it's there for people to talk about, they're aware of it. We took it out.
So that's
And did it finally like that at the town meeting.
We'll submit the warrant articles with the language in there. And this is true for all of our warrant articles, that subject to, we basically have to nail the warrant down. But as with any other warrant article, it can be amended on town meeting floor.
They can even, this has to go into the document that the select board is going to approve, so it could be amended before it gets there.
Yes, that's sort of the other path. I was thinking that, you know, that if before the select board closes the warrant on Tuesday evening, if Evan can advise us that this is really not the right way to approach it, if Evan says he doesn't think that this is workable, we can, you know, again, this is sort of, unless we hold another meeting immediately prior to the select board meeting to close the warrant.
Or meet with them.
I mean, but we'll kind of leave it up in the air, but for now.
Yeah, but it's a small thing and we could just leave it on there anyways and amend it on the town meeting floor, so it's no big deal.
So one way or another, we can deal with it. We don't have to absolutely completely nail it down right now.
Yeah, amending it on the floor means we need to pull the entire article out of the consent agenda.
But that's,
I prefer to get it resolved before the warrant is
If we can
published.
resolve before the warrant closes, that would be cleaner.
And if they say that, yeah, that's not, we don't need to do this, or that's not the right, let's do is we can delete the entire section, because none of those other changes are needed without that change.
Yeah, well, the rest, I mean, the rest of the other changes are just, I reworded that a little bit just to reduce the redundancy.
Yeah.
So I would simply remove the clause, the purchasing manual of the town.
Yeah.
I think the other, it's kind of, it struck me as kind of silly, a copy of this, a copy of that, a copy of that, a copy of that. Why not just say copies of this, this, and this?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, either one of those would be fine with me.
yeah.
So.
Couple of, if we're done, there's a couple other naps, up on section 2. Where we list out the dollar amount, we usually put the parenthetical after dollars.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, the 2,500.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, because of the numbers, the dollars is in the number.
That would be appropriate.
And I couldn't remember, down in section 3C. We had some concerns with this language, because there were items that could be included in all suits in which the town is a party that would not necessarily be in town council's purview. And this would kind of force town council to kind of co-opt those and include them in their report. I don't know that we need the new language.
Yeah, I had a similar thought, I think we had thought we weren't gonna do that because the town council is not party to all claims that are outstanding and all suits and referred.
Now it begs the question, is somebody going out and getting this information for things that are outside of town council's purview? I don't know.
So if we want to not limit this to town council, we could still include the language that says all parties to the action, brief description, et cetera.
Yeah, we can drop.
That should make sense.
So drop shall be made within the town council's report.
Yeah.
See that, but that, so just realize that the green is just adding on, so that other part has been required all along anyway.
Yes.
Right, but it's not required to be in the town council's report.
Yeah.
It's just required to be in the annual report.
The other part of that was, we kind of redid the town council's section to include that wording anyway, didn't we?
But I think this was a good, so I originally was thinking that we could either leave it as is or strike 3C altogether because of what we did in Article 10. I think Greg had the point specific to, school committee has their own council and there might be others where there could be suits that the town is a party to that are outside town council purview. So I think this captures those.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the plan.
We'll take out the whole green part.
Well, because then that doesn't capture all the things that are outside of the.
Yeah, the green part now kind of.
Oh, okay,
What should be
oh,
in the
never mind,
report,
I should be looking at that one instead of mine.
or kind of what the report should include.
Yeah,
Put A before brief description. And maybe the before status.
Good.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Well, yeah.
All right. With that, if we've nailed down this Article 4.
Did you got those two things, section 11 and 12, just the formatting? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, there's a little bit of consistency here.
Yep.
And section 9, with the deletion here, when I remove the deletion, section 9 flows right into the green paragraph. All right, so that's Article 4. Article 20, we discussed this at the last meeting. I included all the latest version of Article 20. The Word document that Candy gave us didn't include the last section of Article 20 that was added by the fall town meeting last year. I pulled that text out of the PDF and included that in here. So this is the existing Article 20. Find. That's not the one I'm gonna do. Yeah,
Page 75.
that's the one. Article 20 here. There's just a few little changes in here. A word here. And this is all what I emailed out earlier in the week. Word here is employee should be pluralized. Mother-in-law needs another hyphen. One half needs a hyphen. Physicians needs an apostrophe. For the suggestion of removing what's essentially a sentence embedded within a list to make it a separate sentence. Deleting duplicate text here. More than likely an editing error. And let's see. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. Just you know, these are the things that we had long ago spotted in Article 20, and with Evan doing a more complete rework of Article 20, we'll just patch it up. Minimal patching here. The other comments on that? That looked pretty straightforward to me. The only other thing we didn't do a very thorough review on last meeting was Article 26, because I messed up and put the wrong version of Article 26 into the committee report, because I had filed the updated version in a folder where I wasn't expecting to find it. I fixed that. Nothing's changed with Article 26 here. Anything on Article 26? Anybody spotted? I have one thing going back to Article 12. One thing that I just picked up yesterday. I happened to be reviewing some AG bylaw approvals from other towns, and there are two towns that in the spring enacted bylaws for door-to-door soliciting. And the AG's reviewed those. The AG rejected one of those because it had a couple of defects. The other one it accepted, they accepted, but they did point out one element of that was important to their approval, which we didn't have in our bylaw, and that was, and this is very similar, we call it, what do we call it? Soliciting and canvassing, but it's substantially the same topic that these two new towns were doing. But the element that we were missing was when they applied for a permit, we need, the AG says you need to have a time limit within which the town must act on the permit. We didn't have that. So I'm proposing to add here, within 60 days of receipt of the application and after an investigation of moral integrity, the chief police shall approve or disapprove. So this satisfies, I think this satisfies the AG's objection to the one town and their.
Do you realize you're gonna get somebody fired for approving of our bylaw? The missing thing?
This, chances are this bylaw was
25
approved.
AGs ago.
Yeah.
1979 was the last.
Chances are the AG approved this at the time without picking this up. And I wouldn't worry about it ordinarily, except that two AG approvals that came out this week picked up on this, and so I figured let's throw this in there and at least not give the AG that excuse for throwing this out. The AG is likely to comment on this, and on this part of our bylaw. But
yeah, if we suggest any changes to it,
yeah,
they'll look at the whole thing.
right, see what we're doing here. It's one thing we're doing here is we are proposing changes to every one of our 41 bylaw articles, which means all of them are going to be looked at to a greater or lesser degree by the AG's office. I don't envy the AG's office the amount of work they're gonna have to put in to reviewing our bylaw changes, but that's their responsibility.
What is the big one?
Yeah, just as a side note, it was within the last 2 weeks that the AG finally got around to reviewing the zoning bylaws that we passed back in May. And they punted on one of them. They approved all but one, they're taking more time to review before they rule on it. But it's gonna be a while before the AG's office gets all these done. But again, that's their job, and they have, the law gives them a certain amount of time to work on that.
Another reason to not go 20 years between that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe in 5 years, the bylaw review won't be picking up as much stuff as we picked up.
Their major job is going to be fixing the defects that the AG finds in the.
Yeah. So this is the one substantive change that I've made since we last talked.
So I'm looking at that one. Previous sentence says, upon receipt of the application, the chief of police shall investigate the applicant's reputation as to morals and integrity. So I'm wondering if we need to duplicate it in the next section. So maybe we just say, within 60 days of receipt of application, the chief of police shall approve or disapprove the application.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yes, we don't really need to repeat that clause about this one. I'm gonna have to make sure I put this in.
Yeah, it starts with after, and yeah.
Yep. Oh, no, I'm gonna pick up one more space here.
And it doesn't really say how the investigation fits into the approval or disapproval, but the current one doesn't either. So
Right.
I think we're probably okay leaving it just like that.
Yes, in fact, arguably, yeah, it's conceivable to me that the AG might not be comfortable with the idea of investigating the applicant's reputation as to moral integrity. That language might be rather dated.
Yeah.
But chances are, if the AG may have.
I believe we looked this up, and that comes from Mass General Law.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we did
Look it up somewhere. I don't know if this appears in other
Yes.
bylaws as well.
Yeah, I remember we did spend some time thinking about that, decided we were comfortable with leaving it that way. The AG might, since that's not a change we're making to the bylaw, the AG might give us some advice on how to improve that or modernize it, but on the other hand, the AG may be somewhat constrained to reviewing only the changes that we make. In any case, I just thought this would be a good idea to head off a possible objection to the AG.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think I forwarded the email to you all that the Accessibility Advisory Commission endorsed our proposed change to Article 12, Section 21. And
did you push this over to the warrant file? Or
I had the warrant on display, so I can make. Yeah, I just pushed this change over to the warrant. Double check to make sure I did it right. Yeah. So other than that, is there anything else on any particular warrant articles that we need to talk about? The committee report overall, since version I circulated to you folks earlier this week, I have updated it to pick up some of those, trivial changes that Greg and I noticed with things like bold and periods, and, little bitty details like that. I did some slight adjustments to the formatting so that I could print this in a large print version and have things line up decently, but nothing of substance has changed. So if we are good with that, if we think the report is now complete, the committee can actually vote to approve the report.
So, second.
Moved and seconded that the committee formally approve the committee report, which, by the way, runs 171 pages. Unless you print it in large print version, it runs about 200 pages. Okay, where did I put that note?
And this one's 173.
That's right. It's,
I think it doesn't have Article 4 in it yet.
yeah, when I threw it, this one had Article 4 in it, but took only the original article before. So that it was before I put that in there, it was 171 pages. No. Where did I see that? I had a page, and I put a page count in there, right in my notes somewhere. I should worry about that. It was 200 and some odd pages, 240 or 250, something like that, printed in 16-point font. Which I was thinking of putting a large print version up on the website along with the more traditionally sized version, just in case anybody would benefit from reading in large print. But with that, any other discussion of the motion?
Do we need to clarify the motion to address the possible town administrator edit to section 4 or article 4?
I think that would not be part of our committee report.
The committee report includes a current draft of article 4, which could theoretically be out of date.
Yeah, it would be nice if the committee report matched the warrant articles. So if the approval of the committee report is subject to further modification to align with with any possible revision to Article 4 that might be proposed by the administrator.
I would accept that friendly amendment.
And would the seconder agree to that?
Oh, let's see.
Decision. Do I want to go along with that, or do I want to make things difficult?
All against my own amendment.
Yeah. So that caveat, subject to Article 4 regarding the purchasing manual, Article 4 being revised on the advice of town administrator. And we'll make sure that the wording is aligned in both. Although I want to publish the report tomorrow morning, yeah. And we may publish in a slightly updated version of that.
Yeah, and if somebody gets a little crazy because that changes, tell them to get a chill pill.
Yeah, really. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Declare the motion carried unanimously. We have a report.
And just in time for Andy to.
Have fun in your other committee.
Should be good. Best of luck.
All right, so our next task is to decide how we want to submit the warrant, what we want to submit for warrant articles. Basically, what we have here in front of us, I sent out earlier in the week, lightly edited to conform with the edits that we've made in the report and what we've done tonight. I took what seemed to me to be sort of the right choice between presenting, including the entire bylaw article in the warrant and including only the changed sections of the bylaw article in the warrant. But there may be opportunities for further, let's see. that much reduced the page count. And that's with the page, that's with not beginning each article on a separate page. It reduced the page count from 132 down to 93. So it was a fairly 30% cut in size right there. But now we can go through and make further cuts of anything that we think might usefully be eliminated from the warrant article.
I did not see anything that stood out as obvious that we should remove those.
Yeah, so I've got a few nits and nats for edits and things that can be adjusted, but I didn't see any wholesale blocks of text that either should be in or out. Maybe.
Hi. For Andy?
Yeah,
He just went downstairs.
right.
You're chasing them.
So a couple of things that I thought might be worth discussing. On going up the screen here. On the town clerk article, it occurred to me to wonder whether it would make sense to not include the old fee schedule in the warrant article. Instead, simply read it as replace section 6 fee schedule with the following, and that would be the green.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I could see saying delete the fee schedule from section. Delete section 6 in its entirety, the fee schedule, and replace it with this or something to that effect.
All right, so
That saves 2 pages.
yeah, so let me see how I can make that work.
Yeah. Okay, let me ask you a quick question. Why are you typing this there?
This is the document that this is the document that we will, these are the warrant articles.
Right, but why are you typing something in the middle of what would be the warrant article?
Because he's adding it to the warrant article.
So he's gonna break the article into 2 sections. One will handle the edits to sections 1 through 5, I think. And then the second item will avoid the
Will
need
be to delete
include all the
so
text.
you're gonna have two warrant articles for this bylaw.
Two things within the warrant article.
So here, so the warrant article is now going to read to see if the town, blow that up a little bit. And this is the way we've structured some of the warrant articles. Amend as follows. Number 1, amend sections 1, 2, 3, or 4, and 5 as follows with deletions. And then 2, delete section 6 fee schedule in its entirety and replace it with the following. We then
Recapitalize fee schedule.
pull this out.
No, because it's not part of the current one. That's just a descriptive text. You could say the fee schedule.
Many of the, some of the warrant articles where I've cut down to just individual sections. Sometimes I've had to divide the warrant article into 2 parts. This is the file I've been using.
Do we need the underline for that section because it's an entirely?
No, actually. It's entirely new. So. That's what it would look like.
In the lead in, so I had a kind of a global question about, listing out the sections that are being amended. So we list the sections for all articles except for 12.
Except for 12.
12 would be a disaster.
Yes.
But I wonder if we couldn't use the same language we use for 12 everywhere else, and, you know, rather than, since all the sections we're including are numbered anyway, we just, 12 just says, vote to amend the following sections of Article 12, rather than listing them all out. So one thought was, yeah, do we want to do that everywhere else? And I appreciate you just not wanting to make that edit at this point in the game as a valid reason not to. But if we didn't go that route, we could probably at least, instead of listing 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, I think we usually would do 1-5. Or 1-5.
I've done that in at least one place.
Yeah.
I would say 1 through 5, so.
Yeah.
So it's not
Yeah. There's no
section
question.
1-5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point, good point.
I thought of that too. I think, so we'll have to be careful, because I think there are other articles where we use this, I'll try to find them. I think Article 1 is actually one when we amend sections 5-8.
There we go. And here in Article 2,
Oh, there's a list.
13. Well, this could say 13 through 17.
18A.
Well, there's an 18, which is not being amended.
Oh, I thought the whole crack about that was, that 18 was deleted and they went to 18A.
That's an article, that's not a section.
Yeah.
Article 33. That's 2.
After we're done here, I'll make a pass through just to make sure. Let's see, make a note to myself to do that.
I just did a search on sections, and
Yeah.
it surprisingly only pops up in a handful of cases, and that caught all of those. So.
I'll make a pass through and double check on that. I think you probably caught them all. Where were we? Oh, we were
We're gonna go from the top. My first.
Yeah, let's see where we're. Article 7, that was 1. Well, let's kind of go through from the top down, whatever anybody has.
Well, first one's on page 3, Article 1. There's a C with a line through it. In 9-1.
Gone.
The next one's page
Is
9.
that something that's, we were just adding that?
No, it wasn't a change. I think it just must have been.
It was word picked up.
Okay.
Let me just make sure that in the report. That's something that may have also shown up in the report.
Which area, what are we in, what article are we in?
1.
Yeah, no, that doesn't show up in the report. That was a Microsoft Word artifact of cutting out the deleted text.
On page 19, Article 11. The introduction references sections 1, 2, and 4. I think it should be 1, 3, and 4.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. Good chance that showed up in Article 14 as well. It did.
Yes. Yeah.
I copy pasted that text. 14.
in between those on, so we've got a handful of times where we still have, some town meeting references. So first one's on page 20, Article 12. At the bottom of the page. Actually, the page number, my page number is something different now. I think Article 4.
Now there it is.
Okay, missed that one. I caught the one that was hiding under the table.
Yeah. I tried hard to look for all of them, but obviously I missed a couple because there's no one search string you can use to catch them all.
Yeah. Another one at the bottom, bottom of Article 6. Oh, don't think that wrong. I'm in the committee report. So it was my page 28 of the PDF, but it's section 25D of Article 12.
Oh yeah, all lines can be deleted there.
Article 16. PDF is page 38. The top of the page. Right at the end of section 2.
Now there you go. Ah, that's why I didn't pick it up. T dot space M dot.
Yeah, there are 5 T dot space M dots.
I picked up T dot M dot and TM with no spacing. Lots of those. But not a lot of consistency in how those annotations were put in there.
No. The end of Article 18.
And in section 3.
The end of Article 33.
Just search for T dot M dot. It finds a T period at the beginning of the sentence and then an M dot bullet on the next line.
So we're looking at the end of Article 33?
Yes.
If indeed.
Oh, because it's ATM.
ATM.
ATM. No, well, I gotta put ATM.
And there were some SATMs as well.
Oh, yeah.
The bottom of Article 34. The bottom of Article 39. And then,
Wait a minute, so with that. Where, no, just so it says whichever is greater. Period. Or. What's the, or take any action relative
That's
to?
the end of every warrant article.
Yes, that's the warrant article boilerplate, to see if the town will vote to block
Oh, right.
or take any other action there too.
All right, no, I'm just,
Yeah.
I jumped off the rails on what this document actually was.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
This is what
Back on the
really,
rails again.
well, you want.
They're saying, okay, we're taking out all these other things, but that's fine, but wait a minute, now aren't we gonna have like we saw before where we would have paragraphs that would start in the middle of the paragraph and be attached to something that was.
Yeah. It's gonna be an interesting challenge for whoever actually does the updating of the bylaws.
Oh.
But for now, at least, that's not our problem.
Right.
at the top of Article 40. we say amend sections 2 and 5 of the general bylaws.
Of Article 40 of the general.
Yeah, I think we typically do amend Article 40, sections 2 and 5. I think that's.
Yes, of the general bylaws is in the
Yeah.
wrong place. Amend Article 40 of the general bylaws, amend sections 2 and 5 as follows, yes. More careless editing.
At the bottom of,
God, I'm glad I got you guys' eyes looking at this.
the end of section 4, Article 40, there's another ATM.
I already caught that one.
Oh, did you?
That's the one that was hiding
Oh,
under
yes,
the
that's the one
table.
that was hiding under the table.
You wanna put a new line before the or? We got extra space then.
Yeah.
It looks better with it.
Yeah.
That's all I've got for this one.
Oh, excellent. So I want to go back to Article 19. Where in Article 19, we are replacing Section 1 with an entirely new Section 1. The document as it stands shows us the new and the old, which works. And as we noted in previous discussions, showing the old along with the new gives people who are reading this more context to understand what's being changed. My only question about this is would this work just as well for us if we didn't include the old Section 1 text and just said replace Section 1 with the following? I'd be inclined to leave it the way it is, but it's an opportunity to save a few lines out of the warrant. But for the purpose of, for anybody who's reading this, the way it's presented here, they can see what is and what was.
So I would say delete the existing section 1 dot repairs on private ways and replace it with, I think that might give us enough context.
Section 2, we leave it the way it is.
Yeah, so we'd say, see if the town will vote to amend Article 19 as follows. 1, delete section 1 dot repairs on private ways in its entirety and replace it with this. And then you don't have to do the green highlighting on that.
Right. And of course, when it's in the town meeting warrant, there won't be red and green.
Right.
Yeah,
Which you don't
we
need to
know
underline either.
But for our purposes, reviewing this crap, it's the colors.
It's easy, yeah.
So you could say delete betterment procedures, section 1, repairs on private ways.
Yes, we're also changing the title.
Yeah.
So
Of that section.
Yeah. So that would turn this into a 3-part thing. 1 is to change the title, 2 is to replace section 1, 3 is to
I
amend section 2.
could see leaving the title as part of the delete section 1.
But we're changing the title of the article.
The title is the whole article.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I was thinking that was the section title.
Yeah.
Just how we sometimes put section titles before.
So are we all comfortable with this idea of not including the old text from section 1?
Yeah.
All right, so let's do this. Word, I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to. Microsoft Word sometimes thinks it knows better than me what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
It's got better right now.
Just be for reason to be all caps.
Yeah,
You just copy it.
elect the.
Repairs on private ways. There's no temporary on it. On the two that you just wrote, it's not, there's no temporary on the existing section. So just repairs on private ways.
Yeah. Yeah, all that. Okay. If we wanted to, and I don't know that we need to, we could further cut down section 2 because we're only amending paragraph B of section 2.
That might shave half a page off. We're in section 2E.
That's that word thinks that
We're gonna redo everything.
that look right?
Yeah.
So our whole article 19. There. So now we're changing the article title from betterment procedures to boundaries of the. Change the title, deleting section 1, repair of the private ways, and replacing it with section 1, temporary repairs of private ways.
Could we do the sentence casing on repairs on private ways as it is now?
Wouldn't hurt. That's right now.
The section 1 dot save repair.
There we go. Well, that's today. somewhat similar on Article 22. But here, yeah, we could delete the old text that having the old and the new text appearing together might be handy as context, but
Yeah. On the other hand, we don't have the Article 29 text here.
right. Now we have, I've included the Article 29 old text down in Article 29, which was one of my next things was whether we needed to keep that there.
I think these two.
Well, we didn't change it. We're condensing, so just eliminating 29 and getting rid of anything that's associated with it, other than Article 29 was deleted at the town meeting, blah, should take care of that. But if we just combine the two sets of rules.
Yeah, I mean, I think there were some items that were in one and weren't in the other, and now, and vice versa. Now we're saying they pertain to both, but I think
Yeah.
we know there aren't any substantial changes, but the point of including it, I think, would be to show that to the reader. Yeah, show that to the person at town meeting. Listen, we're not changing much of anything. We're consolidating. If otherwise, they're really just, they'd be taking our word for it, or not really knowing what we're changing, without seeing the text.
We should be prepared to put the text of them up like this.
Yeah, I mean, we can do that.
Whether,
Worst case scenario.
yeah, so like, what they're gonna see what we're proposing. And we're gonna put the whole combined article for Silver Lake and Lake Ripple together.
Only if somebody put the hold on it and we start talking about it. If they're.
Oh, you're not posting the whole thing? I thought you were gonna.
Well, that's what we're debating now, is if.
We're not gonna show the warrant on the screen.
No,
Right, but the warrant article. We are gonna. It's gotta be out someplace.
The motion has to be, yes, it will be made available to people. It will not be shown on screen.
Right, so they're going to see what got added or changed.
Yeah.
In the combination thing, so I don't think
Yeah.
that we need, I think that in this particular case, if you just put the article. Yeah. The replacement article into it, you're gonna be all set.
yeah, we will have the committee report, which is a much more complete, and with the committee report includes the summary of changes, so that, it's in the committee report for Article 22,
Yeah.
where we explain in
Yeah,
detail what's being changed here.
when they have the actual warrant article sitting there in front of them, they're going to see. In essence, it's gonna be the whole replacement version,
Yeah, so,
and there's not gonna be deletions of math sections of it.
right, so the question before us right now is, in the warrant article for Article 22, do we publish only the new text, or do we publish the old text and the new text?
I would say for this case, I think publishing the new text is okay, because you really need the analysis of current articles that is on our current published draft that aligns the 22 and 19 sections where they are different. And so if we had actually put the analysis of current articles in the committee report, I think that's really what, although we made a few changes after that. So I'd say just the new text.
Because the new text is gonna be the whole new section
Yeah.
anyways. Complete with any.
And you're gonna have to be jumping way back and forth in this unless we align them and then they don't always line up right. So,
I think that would be difficult to do.
yeah.
You're gonna see what gets presented, that there's no proverbial fast ones being pulled.
Well, but again, they'll only see it if they take the time to go into the committee report. So if we take the old text out of the warrant, it's only going to exist in the committee report.
Yeah.
Right, but show what you're gonna put in the warrant. I guess what I'm getting at is it's gonna be the whole, what are we, I'm trying to say this inside out. Are we not changing any of the sections in Article 22?
No, Article 22, so if we were to include only the new text in the warrant, we would, the warrant article would read, to see if the town will vote to amend Article 22 of the general bylaws by deleting the section in its entirety and replacing it with a column. And then you'd have the whole.
Yeah.
Normally I'm against that, but I think in this case, the changes are so disorganized from merging the two that there is not a good way to present it.
Yeah, and it almost begs, if anybody has any questions, it's almost better to have them put a hold on it and let us talk about it.
Yeah.
And talk somebody through it. We might want to do an updated version of the combined, document. This is,
I think,
because otherwise, if we include the changes, you're right, they only see like half of the picture unless they go all the way back to 29 at the same time.
Yeah.
We're ahead to 29.
Yeah, we should update the analysis of current articles and have that available for town meeting. The article.
yeah. Green. Leaving the article is entirely replacing the following, and here we have whole thing in its all its glory. And skip down to 29.
So, quick question for you. This came up when I was going back and forth with Jen talking about this. In your section 1, go out to section 1 of the Lake Ripple bylaw. Watercraft used in Lake Ripple are limited to motors with a maximum of 5 horsepower. Is it your intention to allow the use of gas-powered engines on Lake Ripple?
No. Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay.
Because that is what is currently allowed.
Right, yeah, so Jen and I were talking about this, because there was some other stuff that was in there, and they said, well, you can't. It's not necessary to like limit speed or anything, because you're not gonna get an electric motor that's gonna go over a certain speed or anything. I would take and put watercraft using Lake River a maximum of 5 horsepower with a gasoline engine or something like that.
I don't know that that's. That part's not necessary, I don't see that's necessary.
Well,
I mean, here,
it was there, and that's why I was just saying that somebody's gonna say, well, no, now it doesn't say you could use a gasoline engine on there anymore.
well, here, we're not changing the rules for Lake Ripple. Because the old rule for Lake Ripple was watercraft used on lake is limited to maximum 5 horsepower motors. It's not specifying the type of engine. And that's just, that's the rule that's the rule that exists for Lake Ripple.
Okay.
So Greg just put that into Article 22 when you're combining them.
All right, so you're not saying that, all right,
Right, we're not
but you said yes to gasoline.
It is allowed, but it wasn't called out before, and it isn't called out now.
Right, it's, okay.
Yeah, we're not changing the rule here
Well, that's
for
really
Lake Ripple. All right, and while we're on Silver Lake and Ripple, we can do the same. Do the same thing for Lake Ripple. Not include the old text.
just delete it.
So now, do we need the Article 29 header?
We probably do. That look right?
Yeah, would you even put repeal C Article 22 in it?
It goes along with other places we
Just
said
the advice.
deleted. Or we could put deleted to be consistent.
Yeah. Just delete it though, not C Article 22.
Well, here it's worthwhile referencing Article 22 because if you go to Article 29 looking for Lake Ripple, this tells you where to go. All right, so
So do we, yeah, we got that. Okay.
I looked at Article 25 for opportunities to condense it. And there are a few paragraphs here and there that aren't changed. But I end up thinking that the changes are so much scattered throughout the article that
You're chopping it up and everything, by the time you're done, you might save yourself 2
you try
lines
to
and wait
describe
all
it in
kinds
terms
of
of
time.
change this section, change it. It gets more cumbersome. And yeah, it's a long article with relatively few changes, but they're scattered so much that I would prefer not to go to the trouble of trying to chop the warrant article up.
Yeah, if the article had been structured better with subsection that were identified with letters or something like that,
Yeah.
you could say, yeah, making changes to the following section, subsections, and that'd be one thing, but they're all just paragraphs within a master section.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Article 27 similarly. There are
Yeah,
relatively few changes, but there are enough of them that to try to describe the changes in terms of change this section, change that paragraph of this section, change this list item of this.
That's inviting disaster, because what happens if you mess something up and it goes through everybody?
Yeah. Yeah, so although we could chop it down by refining that, that gets to the more trouble than it's worth territory.
27, you're already only doing for particular sections, so.
Yes. To start with, we've cut down the number of sections of 27 that we're including in the warrant.
Yeah.
We could, as I said, we could cut it down further at the cost of more work, possibly error-prone work.
Yeah.
And lastly, on Article 33, there's sort of the same story. There's a fair amount of Article 33 that we are keeping. We've already cut the warrant article down to sections 1 through 7 and 12 through 15. Thank you, Brian.
There is actually one thing you can do in 27, the 6A.
A.
Yeah. Because the only changes are in A.
That's true.
And that's about a full page.
Oh, I'm disappointed I didn't catch this before. There is a lone green comma in there.
Well,
I caught so many of those. I missed that one. And now that I've got to go and put that into the report before I forget.
You've got a space and strike through that isn't actually. Oh, no, never mind. You got the space out of the comma. Keep going. I found it.
Yeah. I'm kind of inclined to leave that alone.
Okay.
Article 33, I don't see enough opportunity to sort of cleanly cut it down. Article 37, did I? There's some opportunities to condense it, but probably it's difficult to describe accurately.
Yeah.
The warrant is going to be very big, no matter how we cut it.
well,
We try to do too much, it starts getting hard to read.
it's
Never mind.
counterproductive.
Yeah. So I think unless anybody else has anything, those are the only things that I wanted to think about more with the warrant articles.
Yeah, I've got a couple small comments on the separate file, the non-bylaw warrant articles.
Yeah, that's next on my list of things to talk about. So if we're good with all these bylaw warrant articles. Just out of curiosity. Um,
The whole thing just disappeared.
So it now occupies 89 pages.
You know what? And that cuts it down to 45 pages because you print on both sides.
So we've cut 4 pages out of it. I think it's probably the old law of diminishing returns. We can put a lot more work into it and maybe cut it down by another page or 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, and add 3 hours to the meeting because you're gonna have to explain all the stuff.
Yeah.
So do we need a motion to approve this document or?
Either this one or after we review the other
Okay.
ones, we can do it all in one motion, so.
And also approve the minor updates that we made to the committee report during, while reviewing. the
Yes,
Warrant articles.
so, well, that's not what I wanted, is it? No, it's not. Yeah, here we go. So what do we have on this one?
So Article 43, section 3-4, the strike through should not include the comma.
True.
And that the committee report is correct. That was just a warrant issue.
You're not sharing that. Okay.
Zoom wasn't seeing it. I brought it to the front of my copy word, but Zoom wasn't seeing that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just this comma there.
The edits to 3-8, I'm fine with this presentation, but I thought we could also just fairly easily do the inline changes. Changing the 4 to 3 and the
But then the other,
yeah.
the only thing that I'll mention, where was it? In Article 40, excuse me, Article 44, when it says other members of multiple members' bodies, I think it had previously been proposed that it say multiple hyphen member bodies. But I checked in the charter, and with one exception, the charter uses the term multiple member without a hyphen.
Okay.
So I thought that I edited this just to be consistent with that.
The text in here where it says deleting the text and strike through and inserting the underlined text, strike through and underlined or not strike through and underlined. That's the entire document.
No sign these warrant articles. Now we've got a complete that I will be assembling these, of course, in a single document to be handed over to William tomorrow morning.
Yeah, have fun with
waiting
these
for it.
43 or 45.
So
45 warrant articles.
Yes.
we can't have the warrant articles until we get an opinion from the town administrator on Article 4, Section 10. Hold them hostage.
I mean, yeah, they basically what the requirement is that William wants to be putting together the warrant.
Yeah.
The wording of the warrant won't be final until Tuesday night when the select board closes for that.
Right. All right, so this is our report to them. If they post the warrant with that's slightly different, then do we want to have a meeting along with them in the event they change something that we want to take part in, or we just send this along and say, we're still waiting to see if Evan wants this word taken out of here. Do it either way, which is in essence what we're saying.
Yeah,
Just let us know which way it did it so we can make our report final.
so,
You know,
so, yeah, that's the question for us is, do we want to accept a possible revision from Evan about that purchasing manual language and just consider that pre-approved? We will
you know,
pre-approve.
one way or the other, we
Yes.
just hadn't heard back from you.
I mean, we can pre-approve any change Evan wants to suggest before the warrant is finalized.
Yeah, as long as it's only that.
Yeah, right. As long as it's only that,
Yeah,
then we'll, and
then this is our final report, and if he does suggest that, then we just revise our final report to
Yeah.
reflect that that's what our final report was.
yep. So if we're good with all that,
So,
Second.
moved and seconded that we submit this complete revised set of warrant articles to the town for the select board for inclusion in the warrant.
And accept the changes we made to the committee report along.
right,
Except approve the committee report as revised as per our discussion of the warrant articles.
Yes.
And that we pre-approve the change that any change Evan might suggest with respect to the purchasing manual language in Article 4.
very nicely done, gentlemen.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Declare the motion carried unanimously. We now have warrant articles.
Okay.
And I will do what little post processing I need when I get home. And hand them over to William as promised tomorrow with the caveat about Article 4 there. With that, is there anything else that we wanted to do as far as planning for town meeting?
Just back on, we talked about the analysis of current articles for 22 and 29. You want to stick that at the end of the report?
Yeah, that might be worth including in the report. I'll take that. Let's see. Where best to put it?
Put it as an appendix with a reference in the two articles. Would be my suggestion.
Yeah, and not like include the whole article, just put down 22, the personnel bylaws.
22 and 29, Silver Lake.
Oh.
Links. Yeah, an appendix to the report seems like the right way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that I didn't, it didn't
Yeah,
cross my mind as something that would be worth including in the report. But,
yeah, I didn't see it when I was reading through them either. So.
yeah, but no, I think I agree, that's worthwhile to include in the report in some fashion. And
Do we have an updated version?
Feel free to put on the top the date that this was prepared, and there may have been minor
I should be able to look that up.
changes since then. I think the only change since then is section 11, non-criminal disposition.
Yeah. All right, so other than that.
We'll move that change.
Yeah.
I move that we authorize the chair to amend the committee report to include the analysis of Articles 22 and 29 as previously presented, as updated as needed for changes that we've made since then.
Like,
Moved and seconded, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Fair motion carried unanimously. Anything else that we think we need to do tonight as far as town meeting preparation?
too bad this is televised, but my realistic answer is, I think that some of my thinking about what we should include because of events that happened in the past may have gone away because people that might have stood up in the past and wanted to go over these things are no longer involved.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, you guys, there have been people in the past who would want to dwell on all kinds of little things that we're talking about.
We always have to expect the unexpected in town
Right.
meeting, although there's been less of that in recent years.
And that's what I'm saying is, you know.
So I've been trying to get lots of publicity around the warrant review next week for FinCom. So Wednesday, Thursday, 20th and 21st, and then Monday, the 25th. So people can come there with comments. Hopefully we'll get some social media posts and some news articles on the website, and we'll get those shared around to various groups in town and get people to see them ahead of time.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask William to publicize, you know, to put to feature the committee report prominently on our webpage.
Yep.
And to publicize the availability, because you'll learn a lot more about what we're proposing by reading the committee report than you will by reading the warrant article.
Yeah. And to point out that if you have questions about this, it was being reviewed on these 3 dates.
Yep.
Bring your questions then, so we can discuss them then. As opposed to,
Right, put down it'll be reviewed on these 2 dates, and if need be, the 3rd date.
yeah.
Yeah, how does FinCom usually handle? So, there's typically not a ton of public interaction in the hearings. But if somebody would need to show up for night 2, with a comment about something that was discussed night 1, do you still hear the comment?
Yeah.
And just probably, may not be able to act on it at that point.
Yeah, I'd say especially for the bylaw article, because we will have committee representation there.
Yeah.
For the whole time, so we can make changes.
That's what I was thinking about, spilling over to the 3rd night.
Yeah.
If you advertise as hearings being held all 3 nights, without that 3rd night being kind of if necessary or something like that, then somebody might bank on and say, well, I can't make it Wednesday, Thursday, but I can make it the following Monday.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, that meeting gets happened.
Oh, that reminds me, we also need to post for town meeting.
Yeah, but then,
Yes. Yes, I've been in the process of preparing agendas to be posted for the 3 FinCom hearings and the 15 town meeting.
Yeah, I knew, I thought of the FinCom ones, but the town meeting one just suddenly appeared, because I thought, oh, we might need, if someone makes a change, we might want to vote on that change before then.
Well,
yeah.
At that point, we're not really gonna be able to vote on anything because our report's final. And we were to report back the proposed bylaw changes. I don't.
Our committee is sponsoring the articles.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, as it's typical that for articles submitted, like I know this is the way we handle it with the planning board.
Yeah.
You know, we throw zoning articles on just about every town meeting, but we always have a board meeting posted for town meeting night, because occasionally the planning board has to produce a planning board report for every zoning article. And so the planning board report is to recommend or for or against. But on occasion, we've voted on just prior to town meeting to change our recommendation.
Yeah.
So
So
I think that was
these are gonna be like a citizen's petition article, these are gonna be posted as presented by us.
right, these are in the warrant as we presented them. Any changes on town meeting floor, amendments or whatever, we may want to weigh in on those, anything we know about ahead of time. So, it's kind of, just for the fun of it, I began preparing a PowerPoint slide, basically just took these aren't all going to be really very readable as is up on the big screen, but this is basically the summary sections from all of our reports.
But even if you took and had them post this on our website
Yep, this
alongside the report, say, hey, it just say in this document is a little running stream of consciousness about why we were doing the changes.
I mean, it's all in our report.
Yeah.
But having this by itself in a separate document is probably a good idea. You know, the one I did, there were so many of these on Article 16. I split that into 2 pages. I may want to do some more work on this to try to, massage it a bit so it's more suitable for display on the big screen to the audience if needed. We talked about this a lot. We may not need to display many of these, if at all.
Yeah.
But to have them available just in case, we'll work on that. And we also talked about a very brief presentation up front, kind of an abbreviated version of what we presented at the May town meeting. I haven't worked on that yet, but take the May presentation, cut it down, edit it slightly to reflect the rating.
We've done. Did 20 years worth of work in a year.
I think we did darn good.
Yeah.
I'm quite, this is just comparing the scope of our work and what we did with previous bylaw committees. None of them did anywhere near as thorough a job as we've done. It's been a lot of work, but I think we can feel that we accomplished something. So that's it for now. I think on town meeting planning, we'll be meeting as part of the FinCom hearings. We will probably want to have a meeting, one more meeting prior to town meeting, just to get everything together and make sure we're fully prepared for town meeting. But
address any issues that kind of came up through ongoing stuff.
Do we want to talk to the moderator and see if they want us representing at the planning meeting? That's usually FinCom, select board moderator.
Yeah, that's worth mentioning.
So just tell them we will be there.
Yeah. Yes, but I wanted to be nice about it. Didn't want to force ourselves up. Because the 2 of us will probably be there anyways, but.
Yes. We'll run that by the moderator just to make sure that we're all on the same page with that.
Making it painfully aware of how big the report is and how many changes we're presenting in.
So hopefully we can get enough publicity out starting tomorrow. Hopefully we'll get most of the public questions, comments, and public. Hopefully we can come up with us. Usually the case that some people don't question it. Anything else on town meeting purposes? I'll kind of leave a meeting date open for hours. Kind of depends on what transpires during the FinCom hearings.
Yeah.
But between the FinCom hearings and town meeting, we've got a couple of weeks a little bit more than a couple weeks, 3 weeks. From the last hearing.
So,
Your travel.
yeah, so the last FinCom review is the 25th. I am away the rest of that week and all of the next week. So that leads us to the week of the 9th. So next time I am back. So I will probably be able to do remote meetings or just not in person. And I'm gonna be 2 time zones earlier in the day. So.
Well, chances are there won't be an urgent need for a meeting after it's been kind of here.
Yeah.
No, if anything, it might be something editorial or something that somebody came up with that we just hadn't considered that.
It's more likely that we'll be looking at the week of the 9th for a pre-town meeting of our own.
And that would probably be the same time as the logistics meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
logistics meetings recently have been on Thursdays. They used to be Saturday mornings. We used to spend the whole morning on those. Yeah, gotta play that by ear as to what our needs are for a meeting prior to town meeting. With that, the only thing left on the agenda is approval of the
So moved.
August 31st meeting minutes.
Second.
Moved and second, they approved drafted. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very much carried unanimously. Last order of business will be adjourned.
Yeah.
Second, that we be adjourned. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Very much carried unanimously. This meeting is concluded.